15.
Pace is one thing, but finding your targets is also going to be a big part of it. Interested to see just how often Ben looks to use the body serve against Humbert. He is a guy that likes to crowd the baseline on the return. A width doesn't always hurt him. Getting up into Ryan Harrison territory already with that first serve.
I think that radar gun's been very used to changing numbers and going north with Ben Shelton. He's got so much firepower and he has the ability to make it spin. Obviously, he's got a big frame as well. He comes from about 6'5", 6'6" height, which allows for that powerful bomb, but also to use the angles and the width of the court.
Ryan, you mentioned Shelton's frame, his strength a couple of times. How much knowledge have you got of his preseason? He looks like he's added muscle to me. You know, the real definition in his legs. His arms have always been pretty strong, but he's been in the gym for sure.
Yeah, quite a lot actually. I was able to see some training of his in the preseason in Orlando. For this 2026 season, I'm a part of the coaching staff with Sebi Korda, and we went over and did a few days of training in Orlando, played a couple practice matches with Ben, just watched his pre-practice routine, the way he cools down, his lifting sessions in the afternoon, and he really gets after it. He's a physical beast out there.
And he's got some high tennis IQ. We saw one that was close to Ryan's top speed. That one there was close to Collins.
Well, Collins was had a lot of movement on it. We played it a couple times, Colin.
He didn't have pace or movement. That was the problem. Oh, goodness me. Don't bring back the bad memories. Ryan, is Ben benching as much as you if you were in the gym with him? Oh, well, that's what I want to know.
Well, I don't think I could keep up with Big Ben. I don't think I ever could. You know, the thing you love about Ben is just the fact that he's got that versatility. He's got one of the livest arms, the most lively arms in the game. But he's also one of the most explosive guys when it talks about just top speed, getting in and out of the corners. So when you combine that deadly duo of having the firepower in the shoulder and the life in the arm, but also having the explosiveness, I think that's where you look to see, you know, all this potential. Can he put all the pieces together to find himself as a permanent fixture in the top 5 in the world?
Certainly believes that he can, no question about that. Humbert also somebody that has a deep reservoir of self-belief. He grew up playing the piano, then started tickling the ball on his polyester strings rather than the ivory, and then went up to the French Tennis Federation in Paris. And he has talked many a time about the fact that he loves these big stadium courts. This is how he always saw his career turning out. 7 titles for him. He won his first 6, which is an indicator of a big match mentality. Yeah, I talked about the return numbers for both of these sitting below 20%. Let's have a look at Ben. You see here it's 17%. This is the bridge. This is the gap that he's going to have to. He doesn't need to get into the top 10 average of 24%, but he would like to be at least around kind of 20. That would be, I think, for Ben, given his serve record, the magic number.
Well, if you're looking to play devil's advocate about the things that he needs to do to improve, it's obviously that return of serve. He doesn't put enough returns back in the court, and sometimes for as dominant as he is on serve, he allows the opponent to be just as dominant on their own serve, and that oftentimes puts him in these late set situations, 4-all, 5-all, tiebreakers. And in order to be a permanent fixture at the top, in my opinion, you just can't leave that many sets up to what would be a tiebreaker or a bit of a roll of the dice at the end. You know, you can execute more often than not if you're a top player in those situations, but the fewer times that you're able to put the opponent away in a comfortable fashion, it just leaves a little bit too much up to chance in those big moments for me.
Nothing too much wrong with that particular service motion. Obviously, one thing that's changed dramatically over the decades is the fact that the players don't need to follow through completely round there. Well, for Humbert and for Shelton, it's their right side, but for most righties, it's their left side because the rackets have got so much lighter. Where in the old days, you actually couldn't stop the racket swinging.
15 love.
And that's why the body serve will be, I think, a pretty high priority for Ben. If he misses his spots, you can see how compact the swings are for Humbert.
And Humbert does a great job of making this forehand return. He's got a very compact swing, and when he does put the string on the ball, he's really good about applying pressure by making you have to endure the point.
Whether that was the liar toss or Ben was trying to get it out of the sun, but that was way to the left before he tried to tug it down the tee.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, Patch. I would say the sun is just about as bad as it can be for a lefty. You know, it's just that time of day where right-handers might be feeling okay from that end, but it's now the left-handers who'll be sort of serving into it. So probably relevant for both of them for, I would say, the opening set. You know, as it starts to move a little further over, you might just see them varying the toss, as you said.
Humbert's picked that up unbelievably. We're at this beautiful vantage point this year for the very first time, which is literally on the court surface, right behind where Humbert struck that return. And that was a big detour off the court surface, and he flushed it.
Well, he's putting a lot of returns back in the court. A big moment here early on, as we talked about. Shelton, his break percentage is not in the highest category. So for him, facing an early break point, he's going to need one of those patented big serves of his to try and erase this deficit.
Wow, he's given him absolutely nothing on those slices, has he?
Yeah, and I think that Humbert was waiting to see if they were going to travel wide. Those were deep in the corner there, and he misses just a routine rally ball, which against Shelton, a lot of times those break point opportunities will be erased with one swing of the racket, so that will feel like a big miss there.
Oh.
Advantage Shelton.
Just 118 kilometers an hour that second, so that was a real change up. And actually, I think it caught Humbert out. He was almost ahead of the ball.
Yeah, really swung out of his shoes there on that one and overhit it badly.
And then he flushes that one, 2-2-3, you know. You're right to mention the compact swings, both sides, incredible return technique, but how well does he pick the ball up? You know, his vision, his reaction time. I mean, we've got to be talking less than half a second from the speed of the serve to where he's standing. This is incredible returning.
So this is interesting. You're seeing Shelton, he's really changing up the speeds deliberately. He's recognizing with that second serve speed up around 160 that Humbert is not missing a single one. And now he's gotten 2 mistakes when he's actually deliberately slowed it down all the way down at 121. But the action on the ball catching Humbert way out in front.
Cain, Shelton.
Touches the line, gets himself out of trouble. A little bit of a helping hand from Humbert on the juice side. Points there for Shelton, and he'll be relieved to get in the shade and still with his serve intact.
Well, take a look here at this action. The windup is good, but I love the leg load. For his action above the arm, it's the legs that get that drive, and he's got that beautiful trophy position. You can see the elevation. He's getting up there. I mean, that's as high as you will see anyone on tour with their elevation at contact point. And the finishing touch, I love with his shoulders and his posture being tall at the finish. And you can see that that's what allows that ball to clear. Great margin. Look at the action. That's the second serve there that he slowed down, but you can see how much that ball gets up with rotation. It's a beautiful shot there.
Time.
Colin, you could just see Ben coming out there looking over at his dad, just saying he was struggling to see the ball out of the ball toss there.
Yeah, without a doubt, the end Humbert is now serving. It's tough for these two left-handers. I would say it will be for at least the next half hour as the sun moves across this magnificent arena. Very different left-handed serves, though, aren't they? It's really apparent courtside.
15.
You know, Humbert almost never. It's that kick serve, that one that jumps. He's got more of the traditional lefty serve, if you want to call it that. You know, sliding it or flat. Very different trajectories. Obviously, more speed in the Shelton serve, but fascinating tactical battles already.
The one thing that Ben will have obviously taken in, apart from the fact that he had to shovel his ball toss around to get it out of the sun, was the fact that it's quite difficult to pick up the ball straight after your serve. So if you can get that return quickly back to the opponent who's struggling with the sun, they're actually going to struggle with their +1 as well. Almost there.
Well, you can see the athleticism that we talked about. Obviously the big serve, but the court coverage as well. Playing some good defense here, resetting the point, and just asking the question. That's the sort of pressure that can accumulate over time throughout the match. Even though he doesn't get this point, it just puts it in your mind. You got to be that much better with your finishing shots for the rest of the match, and it pays dividends later on.
Fairfield.
Last year, Indian Wells, he was making a lot of returns, but I know they felt as though that he was perhaps not as productive with the amount of returns that he was making in terms of converting them into points against the serve. You kind of love that blend from Ben, that kind of fear factor that a shot like that puts in the opponent.
Well, you can see early on the intent to try and use variation from the side of Shelton. He knows that Humbert is a player who likes rhythm, likes the ball coming faster at him, so he's trying to use some variety. Humbert was up to the task there and fights off that half chance at 30 all. Both guys are getting some looks early on. There's Jeremy Shardy there in the white, coach of Humbert. Good energy there from Shelton. Good response after a mistake on the previous point. I love to see that presence, just sending a message early on.
Yeah, and Ben is at the same end as his father and coach, Brian. I don't know if you picked up on the audio, but when Humbert missed that first serve, he very clearly said, "Stay up, Ben." So, you know, he's very involved, isn't he? Proactive from the box, tactically with Ben. And it worked for him there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He'll give about as much instruction from the corner as you'll see on tour, and Ben receives it so well, is able to implement it and has a lot of trust there. Love the depth in this ball. It's not just got firepower, but the depth into that corner gets him his first breakpoint opportunity.
Game, Shelton.
Interesting little psychological battle there. Ben has
Shelton
really
leads
made it
3
very
games to
clear
1.
to Humbert that he's not too fussed about the serve down the tee on the ad side. Of course, because of Humbert's wide position, it does curl into Ben, but he has basically just said, I'm going to take away the one out wide and you're going to come into my stronger shot, my forehand, and let's see if you can make that serve down the tee. Good tactical play.
For sure it is, and also sending a message early on in that game with a couple great second serve returns. Puts that in the mind of Humbert and draws the double fault on the crucial break point opportunity.
So explosive, this serve, but he doesn't get too far into the court. That's why it's quite hard to rush him off the, even if you do make good contact, he's not that far inside the court, so he levels up and squares up nice and quickly.
That's a great second serve there. That's world class. That's as good as it gets. Yeah, we saw that shot early on of the elevation. Here's Brian talking to Ben again, giving him some positive reinforcement about the second serve. Look at the elevation. He's getting up. So it's not that he's not getting forward because of a lack of explosiveness. He targets the direction of going up toward the ball, which maximizes his height. And of course, you know, the height and the trajectory of the ball, the higher you are, the more you can snap down on it. You don't have to worry about trying to get the ball out on more of a linear plane. That allows for not just great power, but also we saw that angle off the court, that higher position.
tied him up in knots there.
The serve, it's ridiculous, honestly. I mean, we've seen some great serves in our sport, haven't we? But, you know, the type of athlete he is and the way he produces serve, the only sort of comparison I can think of would be like a sort of, you know, like a slam dunk in basketball. Not where they just jump up and put it in, but where they literally, you know, break the whole backboard. It's like that on every serve. He is snapping this thing down. Incredible athleticism.
And that was a clean peg. Not often on a return do you see someone get 0 part of the racket on the ball.
Should have watched more of my matches, Ryan.
Oftentimes, you know, someone gets hit, you at least have a slight miss hit off the frame where it goes off. That was a full air swing, just showing you the amount of action and movement off the court.
Took about 4 different chicanes through the air. I mean, I'm not surprised when Bear missed it. And you could hear Brian saying, no straight lines.
Yeah.
Ah, my goodness.
Ben Shelton.
Those mansions don't pay for themselves. You need something a little bit special, and he certainly has that. Wow, what a serve. 4-1, Ben Shelton. Get you out there with a step ladder, Flembo, to get that one back.
Honestly, I'm just blown away.
Look at this in slow motion.
And you know, I've seen Ben play and serve a lot. The one thing I would add, and we touched on it, you guys touched on it earlier, you know, his success in the majors. But I would say here and New York, probably the best serving conditions for him. You know, it's warm in here, the ball is jumping, and he is making it jump more than anyone. It's unplayable, those kick serves he's just hit to Humbert. So, yeah, perfect conditions for Shelton as well, I would say.
Yeah, and the ball also retains some of that heat in it as well whenever the conditions are hot. And when it's hotter in the ball, there's more life in it off the court, that reaction. It really combines for what Shelton likes to do really, really well and effectively.
Thing about the kind of modern game as well is we're seeing so many high numbers of first serves made. I mean, you look at Ben's career record, 66% of his first serves made, and he's moving it. He's obviously jacking it when he needs to. He can get it up into the 240s if he has to, but you know, you're not seeing a lot of second serves to like go to work on.
Well, even when he does, you know, the speed, if you just look at the radar gun, sometimes he'll slow it down, but that can be deceiving because if you just look at the revolutions, the RPMs on the ball, even whenever he does slow it down a bit, it has so much action and reaction off the court.
You look at Humbert from 21, he's shuffled himself, hasn't he? A little bit further out to the left, partly because he likes the angle. He did struggle a little bit back then, actually, weirdly for a lefty, serving into the ad side. He actually had more success making first serves into the juice, but that shift has helped him get a better percentage. But also, it gets his backhand into play more often as the +1, which often he finds a little bit easier when the ball's flying back towards him.
Well, that's exactly right. That's a great point to show exactly what he struggles with on the forehand side. When he's pressed with pace, you can see him lift up and off the ball, and that causes the ball to sail as it did on that occasion. He doesn't have that issue on the backhand side. That'll wake you up if you're in the chair. See that wind up and him going down the line.
I love this play, though, from Ben in this game. I mean, you don't want to give Humbert rhythm. You don't want to let him find his feet in the set, get after the return. Creates even more fear for Humbert with that serve out wide when he thinks, well, that's lurking around the corner, potentially off the racket of Shelton.
And going into this game, you know, the way that a big server thinks here is this is the last game I've got to hold with the old balls. Before the ball change in the next game at 4-3 or 5-2, there will be a ball change after the 7th game. And for a guy who serves as big as he is with new balls, especially in these lively conditions, he really likes his chances there. So, you know, just as a server, you think, okay, I've got to really hone in, no let up here, and then I get that extra little help with the new ball in my service game that presumably would be to serve out the set.
Only thing against Ben here, of course, is up in the sky, and you're seeing him just take a quick glance up. Last time he served from this end, he was under pressure on serve, survived.
Yeah, and I mentioned it, you know, previously, but he's also into what is a slight breeze, but, you know, all adds up to the ball. It'll be harder for him with the sun, but the ball won't jump, I don't think, quite as much from the end he's at now with the kicker. Of course, it's still a difficult task to break him, but more chance for Humbert, you would think.
13.
See in the back corner there, the location, catching the line and breaking away.
Yeah, well, he's drifted that ball toss to make it look as though he's going to hit the kicker out wide, and he has fired it down the middle there, and Humbert was late to read it. Desperate lunge.
Isn't the scoring system just amazing, though? You know, it feels like Ben is in complete control of this opening set, and in many ways he is, but really just 2 points, the difference.
Yep.
When you think of the backhand that Humbert missed, if he breaks there, we might be saying how in control he is. And he coughs up the double fault when he faces the break point, and that's really the difference. There's no doubt Ben has relaxed since getting the break. You can feel it in his body language.
Well, it's an excellent point there, Colin. If you're looking at the way that this set was developing earlier on, you could feel some tension and stress in the Shelton camp, and it seemed like he was trying to find the range on his serve, particularly on that side he's on now. And you can't, for a guy who can take the racket out of your hand as a returner, when you get those opportunities, you can't let them slip. And the reason being because in these situations, oftentimes he can erase it with a serve or a serve and a first ball, and there's really nothing you can do about it. But if you look at that break point chance, as well as the 2 following points where at deuce he had 121K second serve twice and missed both returns, those are hard to recover from.
Advantage Shelton.
Nice to have an off-pace delivery at 197. Got a strategy absolutely right there. Served into the backhand, but then developed a rally into the forehand side, which can be a little more fragile for the Frenchman. 5-2 to the American. Colin, just going back to the point you're making about how different it could have been, are you saying that I was much closer in all of those losses that I had than I thought?
Well, I'm not sure if you missed routine backhand rally balls on some break points in those losses.
I certainly did.
You can be my therapist anytime. I would have saved thousands.
You almost reached world #1 pitch. Yeah, that is fair to say.
I love the way. Keep pumping my tyres up.
Yeah.
I'm going to take anything you say and I'm going to run with it the way that I heard it. Look at that. Fan activation out there from Tennis Australia. It is a little breezy, as you can see, but it has become Disneyland for tennis fans. You come in here, you've got express lanes, you've got upgrade experiences. It is busy, there's no question. Over 100,000 people filing through the gates on opening day, record crowds. Much love for the sport, but much love for the festival. That is everything about the Australian Open. Humbert not loving his situation. 2-5 after 31 minutes in this opening set.
Let Fusu.
This is where those new balls come into play here. 8th game. Both guys will get a bit of help behind the serve.
Good example of that. He's won 7 titles. First one came in Auckland, outdoor and hard. Then he's won indoors in Antwerp. He's won in Halle. That sort of preceded a little bit of a lull after that for Humbert. Really sort of went from the highs of being inside the world's top 50 to outside the world's top 150. Was almost a very significant sort of sophomore season for the Frenchman, but regained his form in 23, won in Metz at home.
Well, Petch, the way he plays is not with the most margin, and that's a reason for me for some variance. If he's confident and he's playing low over the net, close to the sidelines as he likes to do, then a lot of those shots will land. But then when it goes off and you have such a small margin of error, that's when you can get those mistakes in bunches.
Ben coming back, not to get in the shade, just to buy himself a little more time.
Well, there's 2 reasons why you'd go back like that. Number 1, it gives your opponent a different visual when they step up to the line, and it changes the way you think about where you want to serve. If you'd been going in the body, a lot of times that dropping back, it takes away that option to go in the body because it's easy to get out of the way of. You can get space to rip the ball. The other thing it allows you to do, it allows you to hit the return when the ball is on the downward arc, which allows you to brush up on it. You can create more spin, get the ball up on your opponents. And then for players like Humbert who like the ball fast in the zone, it's a really great play. So I like that a lot from Shelton as a variation and change up.
He went full Rafa Shelton there.
He did, and that's what shows you some of the game plan.
Yeah, it's really apparent how much he is mixing the heights and the spins of this match. You know, we heard his dad Brian say, you know, no straight lines with reference to the serve, but he's doing the same thing in the rallies. He's trying not to give him the same ball, using the slice, using the high, heavy top spins. And I think it's been really successful. He's broken the rhythm of Humbert.
Deuce.
Shadi, you split in 2025 with Humbert. He worked a bit with Fabrice Martin, but that didn't go quite as they would have liked.
Fabrice is back in the doubles draw here, so he went out of the coach's chair and back onto the court. This is about as much animation and back and forth as you'll see between Chardy and Humbert. Just recognizing the urgency. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Patch, we're right here in the corner, and I think that went around the net.
It did, absolutely.
What a strike. All the way around it, bends it back in. You said Rafa a moment ago. That's Rafa-esque.
Both players lining it up.
A little mind game there. Shelton with the audible excitement after that return, and Humbert gives it right back to him. So some mental aspects coming in here. Colin, did you see a little bit of back and forth there with that Humbert jogging to the net with the little stare down?
Yeah, well, certainly not backing down. Don't mind it.
Yeah, that is a massive hold. Shelton, a couple of points there that potentially would have grabbed the opening set.
Shelton leads 5 games to 3.
I'm watching Humbert right now, and the strut, the walk to the corner, it looked a lot more urgency, a lot more excitement. So I think that maybe that Shelton forehand might have spurred him up a bit.
Let's have another look at this.
Well, he can create power from anywhere in the court, and that's threading the needle right there.
Yeah, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. Why we do not have singles posts on the tour consistently, I will never know. You can still see the advertising on a singles net, and it's good advertising, because when you get shots like that, as we did with Maria Sakkari, it gets played over and over again and goes viral.
Here, Patch. Couldn't agree more.
15.
Could not agree more with that. Doesn't take long to change to a doubles net for a doubles match either, does it? So,
No.
And it just opens up some of the best points we'll ever see. So, yeah, fingers crossed we'll see that more in the sport.
I love in that replay there how Shelton is out of vision for the entire replay. At no point in time does he come back into vision. So you just see the ball traveling from what looks like out of the air. And Shelton's so far out of the court that he isn't to be seen. Still finds the winner.
Let's first serve.
Toggled his speed so beautifully in this opening set that you've got absolutely no idea what is coming here. And it was the polar opposite to the serve that he had actually hit originally before the reload.
That's amazing. I mean, first of all, the serve, you can see how much Humbert is stretching, just trying to hit a second serve return, and then showing the ability to speed it up through the court. Now he finds himself 3 set points on serve.
Absolute firecracker.
By 6 games to 3.
Ben blindsides Humbert with his brilliance. What a breathtaking set of tennis, and many memories to take away. Shelton, 6-3.
What a set it was from Shelton. We saw a lot of magical shots there. Humbert trying to hang in there late stages, and then Shelton with those new balls, as he often does, a love hold. And that was kind of why I was talking about the importance of that game prior with the old balls. When he gets that new ball and it starts reacting, even off the second serve, it's got so much action on it. Let's take a look at the numbers. You can see here, first serve percentage is a bit down. The points of percentage won is way up. 74%, that's a strong number, but look at the difference between second serve points won. Shelton up at 64% compared to just 42% on the other side. That shows you that the variation, the ability to put spin on that second serve is paying dividends. And then overall, the winners to unforced errors count, 12 winners to 7 unforced errors for Ben Shelton, +5, -5 the other way. A lot of that's due to putting himself in offensive positions behind the serve. And a great opening set here for his 2026 campaign.
58% of the second serve points won by Ben against the Humbert serve. That goes against the career average of 46. That is very promising from him, but more importantly was the quality of the forehand return. That obviously was intergalactic, but the others were from this universe, but they were pretty much the universe that this man inhabits, and it does do at the majors, it seems. A roar of self-approval for Shelton. The one thing that just getting older does do for you, gives you a little more wisdom, makes you not hit the panic button too quickly. We could see Humbert nodding his head at the end of the opening set at the changeover, almost saying, well, that was just too good from him. Let's just try and stay with him the best I can.
Love 15.
Changed his racket at the end of last year, was using the Wilson Blade 98. It's gone to a head speed, not the same one that you see Yannick play with, but in Adelaide, when he started the campaign there, he only had a couple of sticks. So every time at the changeover, the racket went off, got restrung, and obviously that is going to get frequently restrung, given how well he did down in Adelaide. By the end of the tournament, there was definitely another one in his bag.
Well, this is danger zone here, early stages, second set. Quickly under pressure. We saw what happened with Shelton's serve. Once he gets that break in hand, he's so good at holding on to the serve throughout. So this will feel, even though it's just early stages here, the second set, like this could get away quickly from the Frenchman.
Well, Ben out here at the moment is selecting the playlist, isn't he? Because he is changing it every single kind of shot, let alone every rally. I mean, that last one there had a bit of everything. He went through the middle of the court. He then went wide. Then we saw the short slice to entice Humbert into the net, but on the Americans' terms.
He went for it again.
15-14.
Well, it's been a perfect game plan. It shows the importance of not just focusing on what's happening on your half the court. Obviously, you want to play offensive tennis, but part of the game is also being disruptive for the other side, and he's had a very, very precise game plan here early on.
First really loose one on a big point there from Shelton, and once again he's not really given Humbert a lot to work with in terms of the width, but also the pace. And obviously at down break point he knows that the Frenchman's going to be a little more conservative. The perfect start to the second set, still on offer here for Shelton, though.
That's a great effort from Humbert. Those first 2 break points just felt a little ill-disciplined to me from Shelton, having been so disciplined the first 3 points. I think he's matured, but I still think he has a ways to go in that regard. He's got a tendency to get a little overexcited at times on the court when you compare him to the very best players. You know, and he looks like he's going to end up not breaking here, which is a big opportunity missed.
Yeah, the timing of that. You know, I don't mind him going for it when he's already got the break in hand and he's down on the score on this end when he was already up a break. But if you're looking to try and just dig in a little bit here in the second set, the timing of that attempt to try and back it up, lower percentage.
Deuce. Advantage, Humbert.
Massive hold. Momentum all on Ben's side of the court, and just couldn't quite get across the finishing line.
Well, that will feel like a big opportunity missed there. He's had such a great game plan here, particularly on the return of serve. On the second serve, he's done so well. We recognized him backing way up on the second serve return, and we talked about that taking away the body serve from Humbert. And if you take a look at where he likes to serve here, so many second serves into that body location, and that's exactly what drew the adjustment from Shelton to back way up, just recognizing there wasn't a fear for him to go off the court. He wasn't getting pushed outside the court, which is where the adjustment would be made if someone backs way up. So a really smart location there. We'll see if the Frenchman can adjust and start opening up the court with the Shelton court positioning now so far back.
Oscar Wilde once famously said that a second marriage is the triumph of optimism over experience. I don't know what the great Oscar would have said about sort of going back and having a second marriage with the same person, but this seems to be working out for Humbert. Whatever their problems were that decided to separate for a while, they have returned together, and it's been fairly harmonious.
15 love.
One bit of not so good news for Humbert, looking at his record at the majors. Just once has he managed to come back from dropping the opening set at Grand Slam level. That was against Casper Ruud at Wimbledon. Casper doesn't necessarily love the grass courts of SW19.
Well, I was calling the Casper match last night, and he has nearly 60 Grand Slam level wins and only 3 at Wimbledon. So I don't think he would mind you saying that it's not his favorite. I think that that's a well-known fact.
Yeah, he's lost his other 20 matches as Humbert from being in a deficit, so he's going to have to do something that he has rarely done.
Hey, mate.
30-15.
Yeah, and when I'm watching him, you know, from up close, Humbert, you know, I don't feel like he's really hitting the ball with sort of full confidence and conviction. I think a lot of that is down to the way Shelton is playing, just the game he has, but how much he's varying things. I think the conditions are a factor. I think if we were indoors in Paris, you know, where he made the final in 2024 and the ball was at waist height a lot more often, he would be feeling more comfortable to really accelerate on the ball. I think the fact that he's jumping around and the ball's flying a little bit is tricky for him. But I think he's going to have to find a way to really settle and start hitting the ball with conviction from the back of the court. You know, when he does that and he attacks down the line off both wings and really, you know, goes for his shots, that's when he's most dangerous.
(40-30).
Yeah, once again, a lot of movement and an important game for him. There would have been just a little bit of residue after not breaking through at the start of the second set from love 40, just to have to dispel.
Forehand, he's struggling a little bit more with the change of the pace. Yeah.
Did you guys pick up the audio from Brian Shelton there?
Yeah, it came on through. It was what we were getting out of that was the forehand being a little bit more of the side that's going off and using that variation of pace and spin. Again, I would expect to see Shelton backing up, and we'll see if Humbert is willing to go wide with this serve. Yeah, I mean, I just don't get that, Mark. I just don't get that. To back way up and to have his backhand side be exposed over there, which is the target side you want to go after Shelton, and to be continuing to just roll it in the middle of the box, the forehand side. Even though this is short, this ball has so much action on it, it makes for a difficult approach shot. And that's bread and butter pass for them. I mean, he's going to make that passing shot 9 out of 10 times. You know, at some stage, he's going to have to get Ben off the court.
I suppose the question goes back to, you know, if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail.
Yeah.
Does he have a kick serve?
If he doesn't, then this would be a learning moment for him, or something to add to your game. Obviously, all these players are continuing to try and find a way to push the envelope, but not having this in the bag is costing him dearly right now.
I don't think he has a kick serve. Certainly not as things stand today. It's a slider or a flat serve, the way he produces it. And to go back to your point, only one that slams once from a set down. I'm not sure how much he can change here. You know, he's not going to suddenly start coming to the net loads, because I don't think he's overly comfortable there. I don't think he's comfortable hitting a kick serve to mix things in that regard. He feels like a player to me that when he's on and when he's playing better than his opponent, he'll win. But it's maybe tough to find solutions out there if he's not winning.
So good.
Game, Shelton.
This is really a dominant performance for Shelton. Humbert knows what the problems are. He is going to have to try and find some solutions. And he's winning in all areas of the court at the moment, isn't he, Ryan?
Yeah, he's using his defensive play as well as he needs to. He's playing offensive tennis. He's using variation. I love the focus there, as we saw the love 40 let it slip there in the first game of the second set, but doesn't make the same mistake twice. And He's just continuing to apply so much pressure on the Humbert serve. We saw a second ago the 32% of second serve points won, and that's down from 42% in the opening set, which already wasn't good, but just 1 from 7 when he misses the first serve now in set number 2. There's Humbert. This is where the American can be so lethal.
Time.
Raining down those serves once he gets the break up.
This has been a beautiful performance from Ben Shelton. He's got a light resume in 2026, just the 1 win and the loss to Baez, but he has come into Melbourne with a good practice week, no question about that, and he has looked sharp.
We talk about looking sharp, and I mean, he shows that up in a few different ways there.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks like he could get in the ring for a UFC fight, doesn't he? He is looking toned. He's put together by nuts and bolts.
Yeah, if you put the work in like he does in the gym, he's more than happy to walk the walk, talk the talk.
And the center breakup looking extremely good for Humbert. This is a long way back already, and we're yet to get to the hour mark.
Humbert trying to back way up here on the second serve, following suit from Shelton. He doesn't do that often.
I was kind of rolling through his wins from Auckland back in 2020. Incidentally, John Millman told me the other day that he was there in Auckland in 2020. He said it was an unbelievably hot week in New Zealand. Not a lot of wind, which you can get in that part of the world. It was quick. He won in Antwerp. He won on the grass in Halle in 21. Metz 23. Marseille, Dubai. Dubai's historically always fast in 24. Oh dear. He did everything well apart from strike the final shot effectively.
That's just the first time, and maybe the only time I'll ever say this, he did a great job of getting that lob down at the feet of Humbert. That lob, he was going for a topspin lob. It got down as a half volley and actually drew the air. He's trying to lob this ball and gets it bouncing to disrupt him. So
the first volley was so good, but
yeah.
Surely he had to move in and just play another volley there.
You would have thought so.
I mean, my goodness.
And just to stick a pin in that point I was making, then Marseille, obviously last year he won before he kind of went into the doldrums. Those tournaments are virtually all quite high on the ace count. They're a little bit higher than the average tournament in terms of free points behind the serve.
Faster conditions.
Yeah, and so I was actually interested to see what he was going to do here, and maybe he'll turn this around, because we've seen some great serving numbers from some players. We saw Novak last night, who was awesome. To be honest, in all facets of the game, not just the serving. We saw Tommy Paul knock down 20 aces, which we don't normally see from your fellow American.
Yeah, guys serving big here in these conditions, and I think that's why that everybody was circling this matchup, knowing how well that Shelton plays in Australia and in these faster conditions, thinking that this could be a blockbuster. But you know, if you look back, it was early on in the first set and then early on in both sets that Shelton's been able to kind of establish the lead. When he's already got the break in hand, Shelton's one of the best at holding on to that break and staying on serve, staying with serve throughout. That's one of the things that makes you feel so much pressure, even if you face a break point early on in sets against Shelton, that fear that you might not have an opportunity.
again.
Ben Shelton.
It's not just blistering pace that beats him. Into the body, tucked him up nicely. It was a well-measured forehand approach.
Shelton leads 3-1.
Showing a little of that athleticism with that jumping overhead. Both guys doing pretty well in the first serves with the unreturned category and finding some success there. Biggest difference has been the second serves, as we talked about, and you were saying a moment ago, so accurate whenever you can get good serving conditions. Humbert can get a lot of free points.
Let's for serve.
And Colin, how good of a sign do you think this is for Shelton to be winning so many of these baseline rally points beyond just the serve and first ball to return, winning second serve points on both his second serve and the opposing second serve?
A great sign. You know, pre-match, I actually was wondering, you know, if you took serve and return out of this matchup and you played, you know, what we would call in practice just points out the hand. You know, you feed the ball in, cross court, down the middle, whatever, and you just play. I think pre-match I might have backed Humbert to win in that scenario. You know, Shelton's dangerous, but maybe not so consistent. But he's looking really good here. He's got control of the ball. You know, to play with as much variety as he has, you know, changing speeds, changing heights, changing spins. You got to be feeling the ball pretty well, don't you, in these hot, lively conditions? So I have to say we're a set and a half, but he's really impressed me to this point. He's looking very, very good.
You have to bear in mind the opposition at the ATP Finals, because that's where this stat comes from. But in his 3 matches at the ATP Finals, Ben Shelton was only winning in the 20% range of his second serve points when he had to play a second serve. And same thing on the second serve return. Guys were guys were around 78–80% on their own second serve. So big stuff there from Shelton in the turnaround.
Amazing lob. I don't know how that stayed in. That went up out of the stadium and then came back in. Humbert with a nice bit of tidying up.
Yeah, that lob, I didn't think the roof was in play, but it very nearly was there. And Ryan, just to pick up on your point, I had the pleasure and the privilege of being courtside in Turin for the full tournament, and the conditions here are so much better for Ben Shelton, with the heat in the air, the ball jumping. You know, you talk about that second serve. It was actually at times in Turin, it felt to me like he was overspinning it there with the kick, and it was kind of in those indoor, you know, less lively conditions, it was kind of sitting there to be hit. Whereas here, the serve is playing Humbert, the returner, is jumping around just as it would in New York. And that's why I think, you know, coming back to the point of how good he's been in the slams, those 2 slams, I think, are perfect conditions for him. Hard courts, hot, lively, and we're seeing that today again.
Rod Laver Arena, it's not just a tennis court, it's also where the players hang out in an amazing kind of 3-level restaurant. Spanish restaurant on the top. You've got the players buffet in the middle there. It is whatever you want. You've got a little outside section, as you can see there, that is still very cool. Everything about this tournament is 5-star, maybe even 6-star. This man has certainly been 5-star tennis in the opening hour and 5 minutes so far from the American. Has not put a foot wrong. was going to say, Ryan, you kind of forget just how
15
quickly, you know, Ben arrived on the tour. I mean, from 22, from college. I mean, it was a hockey stick trajectory, straight up. Came here, made the quarters in Australia. Didn't win back-to-back matches that year in 23 until he got to the US Open. Only picked up another 7 wins. But still managed to finish the season inside the world's top 20. Picked up the title in Tokyo. The whole season he picked up 25 wins. The next season he picks up 42 wins. It was another incredibly solid season, but plenty of weeks where there were multiple wins. Another title in Houston, and then another 40 wins last season, as you said. But, you know, the Canadian Masters, obviously a big week for him in terms of the points that he put on board, the biggest title. But it's only really been 2.5 seasons.
He's consistently found a way to improve. If you look year over year, pretty much every year on tour, and even before that, he's adding new things to the game. He's starting to find a way to be more and more disruptive to those top players. And I think that that's why, you know, I'm looking at this season and starting 2026, the things he's been working on, and to go back to it, the success on second serve points. And now against a guy, I mean, Humbert's not a player that you look at. He's not a guy like a Mapeshi Pericard where you think, oh, okay, well, you're going to just automatically have better service numbers against him in nature of the returns not being as lethal. You know, Colin and I were in the same line of thinking there, that if this was a baseline point, you would theoretically go, okay, Humbert may be a little bit stronger. You take away the serves. But that hasn't been the case.
15 low.
You know, you're looking at this as Shelton's a bit frustrated with that ball landing right there next to the sideline. But yeah, just to finish off the point there, you're looking at the progression year over year. That ball catching the outside of the line. I think Shelton thought it may have gone wide. The Americans thought it was wide. So look, if this continues in the way that started the year, and obviously the sample size is very small, but if he's this much better on second serve and second serve return, I think that big things will come this year.
Big things have pretty much come already, haven't they? He was, what was he, only the 3rd player in the Open era under 21 to make his kind of, at his maiden tournament, at semi-final at a Grand Slam. Keaton managed it, of course, at Roland Garros. Wayne Ferreira managed it, but it is rare to go deep for the very first time at one of these tournaments.
Is he top of the list? Pretty short list, I admit, of players that could potentially break the Alcaraz-Sinner dominance. I mean, he's got to be right up there for me. And what I'm seeing here, the physical work.
Yeah, I think
his game is mentally, you know, he's closing the gap. I'm not going to say he's bridged it, time will tell, but he's got to be right up there, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's absolutely accurate. He's continued to find a way. Obviously, he had the setback with the injury at the US Open, but prior to that in the season, it looked like everything was trending that way. Now, obviously, it's been a tough matchup for him against Sinner to date. He hasn't been able to find a way through that matchup, but he's got the self-belief, which is so important.
Oh.
Just a little short with a jump shot, but it is something that Humbert will suddenly be aware that potentially American will bring to the party. Humbert trying to come back from a breakdown in this second. Right, just a reminder, of course, that once you come to the AO, you can get to the AO shop. There is a lot of merchandise for you. You can scan that QR code on your phone, go and make some purchases and go and scroll through. I don't think those shirts are available. I'm not sure, but unless somebody's been rummaging around in Colin Fleming's wardrobe and stolen a couple of them, but there is some fabulous merchandise.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I mean, I had my body armor on. I was ready. Yeah, check out. I've got my eye on. There's definitely a cap in there. I've seen around the grounds. I'm in for that. Maybe a new golf polo. I think I'm going to treat myself.
Yeah, that one's probably not getting put in the suitcase back to the UK, but there's no doubt that there's a few shirts that will be making its way back. It's pretty processional at the moment for Ben Shelton in terms of the way this match has gone. We all had marked our card for when this one was going to get underway, to see, particularly because of the way that Humbert played in Adelaide, what he could bring to this particular contest. It is a first meeting between the two, but it is the American who has excelled.
Let's pursue.
Not easy to play perfect tennis, though, for 3 straight sets. There's always an opportunity, you feel, at some point. Are you good enough to be able to take it when that moment arrives? At the moment, Shelton has not suffered any undertow at all.
He does have new balls here again in this game. After the 9th game, following the original 7, you'll get the new ball help. And like he has in the previous time with new balls, he hasn't dropped a point yet when he's serving with new balls. Let's see action on this kick serve with the new ball, how much it gets up. That was a great return there, but Humbert made the adjustment.
30-15.
This ball is going to jump, even though Humbert is able to get this point. This ball off the court. Look how much that ball is bending. And even though he pulled this off, that's a difficult return to make on a consistent basis.
Hasn't really served too many patterns, but when he's been in a little bit of a pressure moment on a serve, he has directed his first serve more to the backhand side of Humbert. Let's see whether that trend continues. And it did.
30-14.
I think this was on me, right? After talking about the consecutive points won with the new balls.
The commentator's curse.
That's how it always goes.
We had one last night where Novak was winning consecutive points, and just at that particular moment, and it wasn't a big moment, it was like after the first point of a service game when he hit the magic 21. Of course, he lost the next one.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. You got to point it out, but then when you do, they find a way to prove you the other way.
No, he's lost it long, and he's lost a game from 30 love up. And from out of nowhere, Humbert pulls up alongside Shelton in this second
4
set.
games sold.
And that puts a whole different perspective on this contest.
Yeah, that's a massive game right there. Big turning point. What a difference a minute can make.
And all of a sudden, Humbert, you know, winning a couple of pretty crucial baseline exchanges. He's capable of that, isn't he? Just sort of suddenly latching on to a few balls. I like the return he played. I think it was at 30 love, the second serve return from deep. And you just feel for Shelton. That's a key moment where his discipline has just deserted him again.
And one of those moments as well where obviously Ben was leading by the break, 30 love up, feeling as though he had a bit of freedom, wanted to introduce something else with the serve and volley out wide, and got picked off.
Yeah, a second serve and volley is a brave play, especially with the way that these guys return these days.
He's prepared a little late there, Shelton. First time in the match that he's looked a little ragged at times, and that will be something that Shardy will be delighted to see.
Just think his focus is dipped, and he's obviously at the opposite end from his dad, so he can't sort of say anything to really refocus him. Momentum swing here.
You just get the sense that Humbert. Colin, what's it look like courtside? Can you see a difference in body language with Humbert?
You are, you know, that's a great point, Ryan. You really can. I think I mentioned it during the first set that Humbert didn't really look like he was hitting the ball with conviction. He looks like he's hitting the ball with a lot more belief now, having got back on serve here. Different feel to the match.
Game, Humbert.
Yeah, and suddenly Shelton can't get into an Humbert service game. Things improving dramatically for the Frenchman.
Did you hear that comment from Humbert there when he won that last point? Colin, am I right in saying he said that's how we roll in English?
I didn't actually hear exactly what he said, but I could see the positivity. It might well be, you know, something of that ilk, but you know, he's pumped here. Amazing, isn't it? Shelton had the match complete control, and 5 minutes later he's serving to stay in the second set. So this will be interesting because his focus dipped. Can he get it back in a hurry here?
Maybe could have come from the crowd or somewhere. I thought I heard something audible there. I was wondering if he was trying to give a little bit of a nudge to Ben. Maybe not.
No, I don't think so. I think it was more of a sort of come on, let's go towards his team. It looked like to me.
Maybe I just get excited and thinking there's going to be a lot of back and forth.
You just want some needle. Don't worry, me and Petch will give you some soon.
Petch was talking about the MMA, so I just got fired up for a second.
Got to give Humbert a lot of credit because he was in the moment when the moment arrived, and it's not easy to be in that situation when you've been virtually outplayed for 75 minutes and then suddenly your opponent does something a little bit different with the serve and volley on the second serve, but he was aware. He found the perfect return, and this second set has now turned in the kind of match that we were expecting.
30-11.
I think what makes that kick serve so difficult for opponents as well, because he holds the key to it. I don't think anyone else in the game, certainly at this moment in time, can hit a serve that extreme. So, you know, he's going way out of the comfort zone of all his opponents. It's an incredible weapon.
Game, Shelton.
Start of the game was a little Occam razor, wasn't it?
5 games full.
Simplest solutions in life, generally when you're in a complex situation, is the best one. And he went big with a couple of first serves before, as you say, Colin. He just dialed through that kind of repertoire that he has behind that lefty delivery. And there was no hint of a serve and volley there from Shelton. He almost goads you, Ryan, into hitting that shot so he can get over there quickly and pull that forehand.
Yeah, he does. He makes you have to commit. He's got versatility with it. He can hit it off the court. He can also get this lefty hook behind you. So he starts with that inside out. This one on the run, he trusts his ability to cover his own forehand side, using that cross court to open up this. And then he just recognizes Humbert so far out of position. He's in complete position where he has to sprint the other direction.
No, you said it, Colin. Humbert doesn't look that comfortable up at net.
But why would you go to the forehand as well? You know, where Ben can just generate so much pace and spin and give you such a difficult ball to volley. That was a mistake for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if he's hitting a stationary backhand, it's going to be a more advantageous position than him hitting a forehand on the run.
He's definitely gone against the grain with that serve. A little more into the backhand side on both sides, to be honest. Ben's got a little bit more of the baseline to cover here on the returns now.
Well, Ben's giving him that tee serve. He's way back and way out to the left.
Now that was interesting, as you picked up. He's been closer and he's been darting to cover the wide serve, but because Humbert has made more serves down the tee, he came further back and then didn't dart, try to wait to see which serve came in and got caught.
It's been a good response here from Humbert under pressure at love 30. He still faces another crucial point.
Well, he didn't learn from his first mistake coming into the forehand. Maybe he'll learn second time around.
Well, this is exactly what I was saying. Shelton's on the dead run here, but with that forehand side, he can create so much spin on the ball that it's very difficult to volley. And then this is a great backhand passing shot, but it was that forehand on the run.
And he just doesn't close the net either. Did you see the split step backwards? Yeah, were a natural volley, would have moved forwards there and had a much easier volley, second volley.
Gotta say, that was super impressive because he stayed where he was on the ad side from the previous point, did exactly the same thing, and it worked out because the serve came to him. And he made the backhand return, and he has an opportunity to serve for a 2-sets-to-love lead. That was the absolute benefit of going back. That's what he was looking for. If Humbert misses his spot here on that serve, that location was perfect.
Well, he got back to his game plan there. You saw in the first point of that game, the clarity in his game plan was back. He had a very high return off a second serve. He started working his way back, and he got back to that game plan that was able to build out the lead. I thought it was a great professional response there in his service game at 4-5 after the slip up and momentum was seemingly on the side of the Frenchman. He got back to business and got back to his game plan.
Time.
Change of shirt, and I'm sure a change of emotion. He didn't drop his head. He would have been disappointed, but he did not despair when he dropped his serve in this second set, and he has very quickly got the reward that he was seeking. Two sets to love lead on offer here for the American if he can hold on to his service game.
Love 15.
Well, it's been the side that he's on now that he's faced the most trouble on serve. That service into the sun.
Love 13.
Great reaction here from Humbert.
Yeah, that serve was 222. Came back with authority.
Yeah. 15-13.
Wow, it was a ridiculous return from where he was at. He's right there in front of us where our commentary box is. To hit that return with so much depth, got the ball he was looking for and couldn't execute. Watch this return here from so far outside the court. He puts this thing on a dime on the baseline, and that's the one that he'll want back.
Less surprises now for Humbert in terms of what serves coming. He's aware of everything that is at this man's disposal, and he didn't overcommit. Can Humbert take us into a tiebreak? Yes, he can. Charles misses his spot with a serve, and the Frenchman has been razor sharp on the return.
That's a great game from Humbert, and similar to the first time he broke in this set, once the ball was in play, whether it's that end of the core or whatever's happening, suddenly in the rally it felt like Shelton was under pressure, you know, starved of time, rushed in the point. So maybe Humbert just starting to find his best level at just the right time here.
Well, he's got away with it.
1-0.
Probably shouldn't have done.
To me, you can see a visible discomfort in the ground game of Shelton in the last couple moments, just trying to close it out on serve.
Yeah, and what's apparent from courtside is the forehand, that he's not getting the height and the depth that he was earlier in the match. So he needs to get back to that, Shelton.
Tell you what, that is a point that the American needed, and Humbert will be so disappointed that he didn't get off to a 2-love lead here. Shelton once again retreating from a position looked as though he should have come in on earlier in the rally.
Yeah, Humbert's been coming in a lot, hasn't missed too many of those volleys. On the other side, exactly correct, Mark. Shelton's only got to the net 4 times in the entire match. There's been a reluctance to come forward.
Two, 1, Shelton. Three-1, Shelton.
Couple of gifts in this tiebreaker allow Shelton to jump out to a 3-1 lead. And that is a good indicator of what we've been talking about, the fact that he doesn't have a kick serve.
Yeah, he tried a kick there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Why would you bring it out now? Of all the times to suddenly introduce it.
Let's pursue.
Maybe that's why Humbert kept coming into the forehand.
Well, that's the best backhand passing shot he's hit in the match, and certainly one of the best ones I've seen him hit. I mean, he didn't get much on this approach. He's got to look at that approach shot and think, I mean, that's right in the middle of the court. At this level, you know, I said stationary backhand, but that had no depth, no penetration. It's sitting there in the wheelhouse, and a guy like Ben Shelton, he's not going to make that mistake. Gets both points on return. And Colin, such a good point earlier about not closing the net off there on that approach shot.
No, he's not natural at the net, and it feels like he's coming in loads. You know, a couple of questionable things for me. Why is he suddenly hitting his first kick serve of the match in the second set tiebreak, and why, in such a crucial sort of last 20 minutes, is he coming to the net so much when it's not his strength? I just feel like he's lost a bit of tactical clarity, whether his emotions have run away from him slightly or whatever it is. There's no doubt Shelton is the calmer, you know, player and winning this match tactically.
Ever since that backhand volley where he let him off the hook, really swung this tiebreaker.
Wow.
6-1, Shelton.
Fire in the hold. He's just torpedoed that serve. Almost felt like a completely different serve. It almost felt like he hit it on the way up. It was such a quick action.
Yeah, he stepped up there with confidence. This set's been so unpredictable, but he's taken that opportunity that Humbert gave him with that easy volley mistake and run away now 6 consecutive points.
Shelton.
Just as he has done throughout the course of this second set, he's shown some really good resistance.
Way to get out of that corner and move. Come on. Oh.
But that resistance in the end ends. Shelton wraps things up in double quick time in the tiebreaker by 7 points to 2.
Well, it was a good mental performance there from Shelton. He had a break in hand twice in the late stages of the set. Couldn't hold on to the break, but then played a great tiebreaker. Let's look at it by the numbers. Great first serve percentage there, up from the first serve percentage in the first set, but then in the second set, both guys making some headway in some service games. 2 breaks apiece there in set number 2. It really came down to some of those critical points late stages. As soon as it felt like the Frenchman got the momentum back, he couldn't hold on to it. Ultimately there in the tiebreaker, when he did come to the net, he came to the net a lot there in set number 2, and he had a really nice, high, easy volley to try and go up a mini break. And then quickly Shelton took all of that momentum and wins the next 6 consecutive points. Gave one back at 6-1, but then finishes off in style. The American now 2 sets up, somewhere he's very comfortable.
Apart from the position that it puts him in, as we see Shelton look over to his dad, 2 sets to love up, it would have been hugely frustrating for the American, given how well he had played up until 4-3 in that second set. As we take a look back down the Yarra to the magnificent CBD of Melbourne, and of course one of, if not the greatest sporting precinct in the world, as we look over Melbourne Park, which has been enhanced, extended. There is still some plans in the work to make this even greater. Year-on-year improvements from Tennis Australia. And the fans keep loving it and keep streaming in as the photographs get taken. How long have you been coming here, Ryan?
My first year here was 2007 for the juniors. Always loved it. I look forward to coming back every single year. I always circle it on the calendar, and it gives me that feeling when the tournament starts. I'm excited, but I'm also like, oh man, is it here already? Because I look forward to it so much. Then when it finally arrives, I have to make sure I remember to enjoy it. It's such a great event, and just being here on the grounds, all the things that they have to offer, it's a total fan experience. Obviously great tennis, that goes without saying, but the grounds themselves, completely new innovations every year. It's so much fun for everyone involved. Bring the whole family out.
Everyone backstage waiting for one of the leading men anyway. He's got about, what, 3 minutes left before he has to be back out on court for his call time. Does Humbert as he tries to manage his emotions and kind of figure out. There's the iconic bridge that crosses the Yarra. That's getting a little bit of a refurb at the moment. You can still get your pictures from that part of the world if you want to. As once again we fly over Melbourne Park to the Rod Laver Arena, where the players are inside. A lot of the players are inside that little particular capsule where food and drink is aplenty, as the fans keep themselves cool under all of the sprays that are here. I know that Craig Tiley, if there was a way to be able to put a huge canvas over this, he would love to give the fans a little bit of respite from some of the sun, particularly what's coming on Saturday. It is going to be an incredibly hot day on the first Saturday of the Australian Open, which will play a part, no doubt, in some of the results that we've seen. Tiebreakers will always be a big part for Ben. He's had a winning record in 2 out of the last 3 seasons. 24, he was slightly in the deficit, 124-27. Last year was excellent, 127 breakers, lost at 21. And he will be very happy that he has scrambled to the safety of a 2 sets to love lead. Missed a lot of first serves, apart from the missed backhand. Humbert just 1 first serve made in that tiebreaker by the Frenchman, which allowed Ben off the hook to some degree.
Yeah, we've talked about the strategy on the second serve return has been so good. Colin pointed out that it forced Humbert's hand to try and do something different, making him attempt a kick serve on the second serve, which is far from natural for him, and got the double fault there, which was one of the many breaks that Shelton was able to secure.
Colin, this has been the slam for you in the last, I mean, Ryan's been coming here almost 20 years. This has been the one that has changed the most for you in terms of innovations and everything else?
Good question. I think my gut feeling is probably yes. I think I'm right in saying we played the first indoor Grand Slam tennis here, in terms of they led the way with the roofs. Obviously, the 3 retractable roofs. You know, they're taking the facilities year on year to just another level. It feels to me, you know, if you'd asked me that question a couple of years ago, I'd say, well, it's incredible, you know, the developments of this tournament. But it feels to me in the last 2 years that those improvements, that the growth has almost, you know, increased exponentially. It is booming, this Australian Open. It's such a buzz to come down here. You know, the whole city embraces this event. You go around the cities, anyone you speak to, if you tell them you're here working the tennis, they'll reply saying, oh, I'm going on, you know, Thursday. I can't wait to go there. The weather's so good. It's the best time of year in Melbourne, and everyone is just buzzing off this event. So yeah, and look, the fan experience around the grounds is incredible, but you know, the innovation, the developments for the players, which is almost the most important thing, isn't it? It's a Grand Slam at the end of the day. You know, they continue to improve and develop, and it's just such a treat to come down here as we see Humbert just striding back onto court. This is going to be an interesting set for me. I'm intrigued to see if Shelton can finish this in 3 straight sets. I think he's got the game to do it, but I think it might give us a little insight into his maturation process, whether he can really knuckle down here and get this done in 3, or will he lose a bit of focus and we end up in a 4th set.
All will play out in the next sort of 30 minutes. So Ryan, what was the temperatures like in Orlando when you were there practicing? Was it hot?
Yeah, it was pretty hot in the middle of the day, especially. It was, you know, one of those conditions that in the United States, Florida, and even in the winter there, it's going to be in relatively similar conditions to summer.
Let's proceed.
23, 24 degrees Celsius on most days.
Yep.
And there was a conscious effort to play in the hottest part of the day when we went over there for those training sessions with Ben. The circle time was noon, 1 o'clock, where the sun was going to be at peak heat to prepare for this down here.
15 left.
This is where having a big serve, I think, really helps at the start of sets when potentially there's a little bit of a flat spot. You know, fans have gone out. They've been totally engrossed in what's happened through to the tiebreaker in the second set. They've lost a little bit of that buzz. You yourself may have just lost a little bit of either on either side. Obviously, Humbert doesn't necessarily have that luxury. Ben does, but he can just drop one of those in, and that's a couple of quick points.
Well, he was able to break back twice there in set number 2, but that doesn't happen very often. From 4-3, 30 love up, Shelton was serving, and with new balls, he got broken, and that doesn't happen frequently. And it's been the early stages of both sets where Humbert's faltered and been broken and put himself in trouble. He's got to try and keep the scoreboard pressure on, especially down 2 sets. You know, you get down 2 sets in a break and you start thinking about what time flights go home.
Oh, come on.
Game, Shelton. First game, third set.
Looks like a little 56 degree there, Colin. That's kind of like your touch around the greens, right?
That was the full 60, Ryan. I think open the face as well. I think a hint of fortune, hence the apology.
Are you saying Colin thins it?
I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly right. That's thinned it, but to perfection.
I think it's fair, Ryan. I'll take it. That was, I'm giving Ben that one. That was a brilliant volley. Slight hint of fortune, hence the apology, but that was the shot he was going for. That was excellent.
Well, that's the sand wedge there. That's where you got to hit it just behind the ball. You know, you kind of scoop through it.
It's the lob wedge.
Oh, there you go.
The extra loft on that.
And you can tell we don't like golf very much up here.
You got to saute it.
Fifteen love. Third below.
If you were to run through an audit, Ryan, of Ben's strokes, and I'm not just saying forehand and backhand, making it kind of binary, it's like forehand line, forehand cross, backhand cross. Would it be fair to say that the backhand down the line is maybe not where he needs it to beat Carlos and Yannick?
Well, that's maybe the best one he's hit, but to your point, absolutely correct. He's got to get that shot more consistent. It puts a little too much pressure on him against those top players. The number is something like he's lost 19 consecutive sets to center over the course of 6 or 7 matches, and that's exactly why. Once the rally commences, he gets exposed over there. The forehand, you can tell it's technically sound. He can do a lot of different things with it. He can lift it. He can inject pace with it. But in that backhand corner, not as solid. And just to give you an idea, if he's playing against those top guys and he's playing that slice there a few times in a row from middle of the court, you would expect to see them heavily on offense and aggressive. Not to say that Humbert's not capable of doing that, but obviously at the top tier, and you're trying to win majors, which is Shelton's goal, you can't fall in love with that slice and just expect them to massage the ball back to you. They'll take control.
Yeah, it's the area as well where when I watch him play, there's so much to admire, but the sort of the little sort of granular things that are going to make the difference. Also on the, when you actually watch him when he's on the defense on the slice, a lot of the time he has his back down the court, so it takes him a little bit longer than you would love for him to actually recover court position. He's such an amazing athlete, don't get me wrong. I mean, for the most part he can do it, but you do feel as though he overturns as well when he steps across his body.
Yeah, and he does the same thing on the volley as well, which is why when he comes forward, you don't see him converting at the net as much as you'd like to for his presence and athleticism at the net. You know, Colin, if you imagine the way I got to play Colin and see him play a lot, he covered the net really well. And I'm going to hate to tell you, Colin, but you weren't quite as athletic as Ben.
That'll come as a shock. I'm not sure Colin's going to be able to talk for the rest of this set.
Are you saying I can't slam dunk?
Yeah, I haven't seen you try.
I definitely can't, but I'll take the fact that you covered the net well.
Yeah, no, you did, absolutely. The positioning at the net and the balance was really good. And if you could give someone like Shelton with this supreme athleticism, the control and the composure and the reading, I just think that there's a lot of room to be improved at the net as well.
No, joking aside, Ryan, I couldn't agree more. I think he has high potential at the net, but he's, yeah, his athleticism is wasted slightly because he's inefficient, maybe in the way he moves, his positioning. You know, it doesn't quite flow when he comes forward. But I do think he's doing the work. You know, he's not just getting stronger in the off-season. I think he's working on his game.
He is for sure. And the thing for me when I see him at the net is that his balance looks a little bit off. He always looks like he's kind of falling in one direction. And the best volleyers when they come forward, let's take a look at the backhand slice percentage here for Shelton. Over 50% slice. That's a big number right there for a guy with a double hander, especially to be hitting 42% topspin, 58% slice. I mean, that is no longer variation. That's majority.
And you got to admire that because it would be easy for him just to try and grip and rip, and he's the one that has actually gone out of his comfort zone and kind of extracted errors from him. But Humbert is the one that's playing predictably when you look at those numbers.
Game, Shelton.
Devastating serve once again from Shelton. Not the last time I'll say that today.
Shelton leads
2-1.
2 games to 1.
Yeah, Patch, obviously in this matchup, it's been highly effective. I just think that if you're looking at the bar and the way that he's looking to try and progress, it's obviously more extenuated here. Extenuated? Is that right? Extenuated?
Yep, correct.
Gotta make sure I get my my proper English correct here. But yeah, it's got that sort of feeling that here in this match, it's working effectively. But when you do it predominantly against the top players, that spin, they get used to it, and then they start whipping it off the court. And I think that's one of the reasons why he hasn't been able to make headway in recent matches against Sinner and some of these guys. And to your point, that backhand, especially that backhand line, just getting that a little bit more solidified could help him a lot.
Time.
Picture perfect day, and no better place to be than on the iconic Rod Laver Arena. Place that Ben feels very much at home. Semi-finalist of this tournament last year. He has a potential meeting with Gael Monfils in the second round. Of course, had to play Gael here 12 months ago on a match that Gail played against Taylor Fritz. That was pretty special in 25. It is going to be the last dance for Gael Monfils, as it is for Stan Wawrinka in 2026.
Yeah, we have loved seeing Gael over the years. He's on the court right now on Key Arena, tied 4 apiece.
Low. Low.
Wow, that's very sweet. Has had a nice little break since making that final at Adelaide. It's always a difficult one from a scheduling perspective, isn't it, Ryan? When you haven't had the season that you would have liked, and Humbert obviously picked up the pace towards the back end of 2025 in terms of putting some wins on the board in Stockholm and in Basel. Had to retire with a back problem in that particular semi-final, whether to play the week before a major.
Well, for you, assuming good health and he doesn't have to miss any significant time, where do you see him finishing the year? Where's his ranking?
I mean, I think he'll be around at 20. And you?
Yeah, I think he's a top 20 player. I do. I think he's been top 15 before. I believe I'm correct there.
He's been 13, yeah.
And
just jumping in, guys. Petch, you mentioned that injury in Basel. That was actually really significant when you trace it back for Humbert, because he'd made final of Paris-Bercy the year before. So that's essentially the reason, that injury. Reasonable to assume he'd win a match or two in Bercy and probably would have been seeded here and not had to play Shelton first round. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that can be tough, you know. I remember back to something. My career best ranking was around 40 in the world, and close to getting seeded. And some of the times I felt like I was playing really well going in the majors, and you draw top players, and you're not playing badly at all, but you don't get that opening and opportunity. There's one time I played Novak here, another time I played Andy here, and felt like I was playing really well, and just sometimes you're at the mercy of the draw gods.
Third wheeler.
222 on the gun.
Yeah, that serve is becoming more effective. It's almost as though as time's gone by, Humbert's picking it up even later at the moment.
So I had a long conversation with Brian, Ben's dad, at the Paris Masters at the end of the year, and he was talking about the personality and the balance and how, you know, they're different personalities, he and his son, but he really promotes Ben being authentic out there.
Ben Shelton.
And we'll get back to that as that goes out from Humbert, and Shelton goes into a 3-2 lead in this third set. I was just looking at Humbert's record and the notes they give us, and you've always got to be a little bit careful, because I was saying that he's only come back once, and that was against Casper from a set down. Then I looked at the notes and it said he's come back from 2 sets to love down, and I thought, well, that's strange. I've got to say that, like in tennis, like always across the board, it does tend to get a little dysfunctional with how we kind of use stats and notes and everything else. But I think the notes may have put the next gen finals in as a come from 2 sets to love down, because obviously he was a part of it in 2019 was Humbert. He beat Yannick Sinner from, in inverted commas, 2 sets to love down. But of course the next gen is 1st to 4.
Yeah.
I'm not counting it.
I don't count it either. 4-game sets, it's not as physical.
You were saying, Ryan, about what Brian was talking to you about.
Yeah, we had a long conversation, and you know, my brother plays on tour. He's a top-ranked American men's doubles player. He's playing with one of you guys, his fellow Brits, Neil Skupski, this year, and we were having a conversation. I was getting his thoughts on, you know, as a family member relationship, how you convey information. Fun fact in the locker room, nobody switches rackets or strings more than my brother. He'll play with a different racket about 5 times throughout every year, and he knows that that's
different model.
Oh, everything. He'll go anything. Head racket, Babolat. He'll play with a Wilson now. He's had 3 different racket models in the last 4 months. I'm not kidding at all.
No, I believe you. Why?
That's a great point there from Ben. I think it's nerves. It's one of his things. Obviously, different conditions play differently. You know, we talked about how Colin was saying at the ATP finals, it was playing a lot slower here. And sometimes my brother kind of looks at like, oh, maybe the racket's not getting as much out of it and I got to switch. But, you know, I was talking with Brian about, as, you know, his father, and for me as his brother, how do you try and get a message through when someone's, and Ben is, he said Ben's stubborn. Ben has his own personality. It was fascinating for me because he said it in such a complimentary way. You know, he loves how he is such a confident character. He would never want to take that away. And so he talked about walking the line when you do want to give information, knowing how to deliver it, timing being so important, how you deliver it, learning how to de-escalate situations that needed to be de-escalated, but also then getting his point across when the information was ready to be said.
Yeah, well, they
15-14.
don't just have family ties, of course, they have college ties from when Ben and Brian were at Florida, and he was excelling in that particular department, and he's excelling here with a couple of break points. Humbert at breaking point. And it takes time to get that kind of meeting of the minds, if you like, and it's one of the things when you look at the tour, how quickly people kind of jettison coaches, and you think, well, maybe if you'd have gone through the next hard 6 months, you would have come out the other side, and it would have been a far more sort of valuable partnership that you have.
That's a great serve there, a great wide serve. And yeah, absolutely. You know, you have great coaches and great players, and sometimes the blend doesn't work. Some of that's timing. throughout different phases of your career, you know, you can be more open to certain styles. Sometimes you're not as open to a harder approach. Other times you want someone who's going to be a little bit more reserved, and all of that's changing throughout. I'm not sure about you guys, but generally as a whole, I think that changing is too frequent and not as good.
Yeah, I agree. I think players, I think the model lends itself to the changing though, doesn't it? Where the player is the boss, but they're also the player that needs to be, you know, hearing sometimes the difficult truths. But yeah, I think when you look at the longer standing player-coach relationships, you know, they've generally been the ones where there's been the best sort of improvement and development of the player's game over time. Not always the case, but for the most part. I thought that was a really impressive hold there from Humbert. Felt like he was slipping away, but first serve coming to the fore and kept himself in it.
Yeah, he certainly did. It was clutch serving there. I actually like the approach that some of the top players do, where they don't necessarily get rid of their permanent fixture. And sometimes if they, hey, you know, I've got an idea that this guy could really help me with my backhand or really help me with my volley, to come in supplementally, get some help. And I do like that practice.
15.
It's a fine line, isn't it? You know, coaches are there to stop you from marking your own homework. Doesn't mean that they don't get disappointed with some of the grades you give them. But if you continually switch, that's pretty much the art of staying a beginner.
Well, it's what happened to me throughout my career as I progressed. I had so much going on, and sometimes the mind hits overdrive. You're thinking about different stuff, and everyone has a different vision. You know, a lot of people look at Ben Shelton's game and they see a lot of options, and it would be easy to see how some people go, maybe he should come in all the time behind that massive serve. Other people go, oh, well, he moves so well. He can build the point from the back of the court, and if you don't have clarity, you get confusion.
Yeah, he was with Dingolfheim before, but when Brian left Florida, he was very keen to get him to travel. He knew that he was going to be the kind of voice that he needed to hear in these kind of moments.
Game, Shelton.
That was like a hot knife through butter, that particular hold of serve. Absolutely nothing that Humbert could get going there.
Shelton leads 4-3.
Any solutions from the French side have got to come soon. And just staying with that theme, I think that the whole structure of it lends itself to you as a player being able to get rid of the coach so quickly. I don't think you have to put much brain power into it, because you basically don't even get 30 days. You might get 1 month's notice. So it's a very low risk hire for tennis players, in general. Whereas if you, I don't know what I believe in the NBA, but certainly back at home in the Premiership, you hire a manager, that is a cast iron contract that you have to pay out. You don't like them within a month or 6 months, or don't think they're doing a good job, you got to pay them out. There's due diligence done on a far greater scale.
Yeah, and even the superstars, they have to respect that managerial position.
Time.
Four o'clock local time, and it has been a good time as ever on day 3 of the main draw here at the Australian Open. We're currently watching Ben Shelton, one of what was it, 5 players that have won the NCAA men's singles tournament that started back in 1977, that have made a slam semi or better. John McEnroe, of course, went to Stanford. Kevin Curran went to Texas. Tim Mayotte also went to Stanford, and Mikhail Pernfors charismatic Swede. He went to Georgia.
Well, you're seeing so many players in the draw and coming out of college here, and I think it's a good move unless players are at that superstar level, just because the physicality of the game, the way that it's played now, the courts have slowed down a bit, the balls are heavier, and the physical development from 17, 18 years old to 22, 23 years old, there's a lot of developing in your body. You add that with the travel and the workload with the matches throughout 10, 11 months throughout the year. You talk some guys like Alex Mickelson. He was nearly 100 in the world at that point, so he already, the decision makes itself there. But a lot of times players, if they're not in that position and they turn pro, and all of a sudden you're playing 15K tournaments throughout everywhere in the world, as opposed to getting that time to develop as Ben did. I mean, have you ever, since he's been on tour, looked at Ben and thought he wasn't a physical beast out there?
No. No, he was already a good athlete. He's become a great athlete.
Case in point, gets this ball down low. Look at the court coverage. Look at the strides whenever he's running up there. I mean, it's incredible. The length, the power.
You could hear the squeak there as well, couldn't you? He's pretty comfortable sliding on hard courts, as just about all the sort of modern day players are. And that was seriously dynamic there.
It's almost as though he heard you, Ryan, and then he wanted to showcase just how good an athlete he is.
Well, he's so good at making you hit the extra ball. There's 2-3 times throughout that point that Humbert thinks he won the point. Obviously, from this position here, he's thinking, oh, I've got to hold this forehand. I'm in good shape. I'm still in good shape. And next thing you know, it's like, is he really there again? I'm about to lose his point.
He looks pretty loose and relaxed here, Ben Shelton. I mean, he looks that way at the best of times, but he looks dangerous to me. This feels like a big point for Humbert. Needs to just close the game here. If it goes to deuce, I think Shelton becomes very dangerous.
He does shut the door on any ambitions that Shelton harbored to get the break there.
4 games over.
He's done well to stay with it here. Obviously, reset there after the second set, took the bathroom break, and I've been impressed with his energy. We've talked a lot about Shelton, but Humbert's been in the top 15 in the world, so he's a professional. He understands that, coming down here at a Grand Slam event, anything can happen.
Just staying with college tennis for a minute. Good news for Michael Zhang, isn't it, that he can actually keep his prize money. We have this debate about sort of obviously the players that can make money now at the US colleges with the NIL and endorsements and make not just a little bit of money, but millions of dollars, but prize money isn't accepted. But as a senior, he can keep what he's made here at the Australian Open, and it will not affect his eligibility.
I wonder how far he would have to go in order to just go ahead and keep playing professional events. Obviously, he's got a few more months left of the college season. It's great to hear that is allowing him, hard-earned, coming through qualifying. And I work with Sebi Korda as part of his coaching team. Saw him firsthand. He's a really great player. Michael Zhang, he's going to be in the top 50 in no time. Reminds me a bit of the other American learner, Tien. There's nothing that just wows you and jumps off the page, but everything is so solid and consistent, and especially between the years, the mental, he was up 2 sets on Sebi. Sebi turns around, wins the next 2 sets, has break point early fifth set, and turns it around. So yeah, the college tennis game, as Ben Shelton did, it helps that mental development too. Ben taking it up with technology.
And he's got a right to make sure that it is correct, because for him a big part of it is the technology, being able to read a 220k plus serve, because he will be facing big pressure points and he does not want to get a wrong call in those moments.
Yeah, 220k that's still moving in the air as well. It's not exactly a straight line, is it? So yeah, you're right.
Let second set.
He's gone through sort of periods in this match where he's suddenly just run hot on return. Humbert, Ben will be very keen to make sure that isn't one of the moments that's occurring here after that return.
I'm liking the energy level, though. You know, bouncing around. He's down 2 sets and still showing signs of resilience.
Game Shelton.
Yeah, that serve has been so productive. Harvested a lot of free points for Shelton out wide. He's a game away from a place in the second round once again here in Australia. Bit of tennis art for you. His dad played, won a tournament, but Ben has grown his own shadow over the last couple of years.
Time.
Comfortable on-air time for all the fans, and those ones in the shade very comfortable right now as Shelton tries to time his run to the finishing line to perfection.
Love.
It's okay, man.
That's a point there where Brian just, not going with any advice, just telling him it's okay, stay with it. I love the balance there between when to inject information and when just to try and play the calming, confident presence.
I like that point from Ugo Humbert as well. Sort of controlled aggression. I thought he came in too much at the end of the second set. It's not his game. I'm not saying he should never come in, but only when it's really obvious. I like him controlling from the baseline like that. I'd be interested to see from here on in this set, can he keep that discipline? Can he keep that you know, the emotions in check and play smart tennis.
Oh. Le service, c'est moins devant. Allez, bon. Allez, go.
Great stab from Humbert.
Yeah, no choice there to follow that one in. He had to. There was the position on the court. There was no chance to turn this around. He's so far up near the service line.
Yeah, exactly right. Had to come in. The ball was so short and did well. Does have a tendency to back off the net. You know, sort of second, third volley ends up playing them further from the net, but he did well on that occasion. He's still right in this, you know. If he could just find a way to nick this third set.
Crowd have suddenly massively re-engaged in this contest.
Oh, looking good. Keep squeezing that lemon.
Court level, Colin, is there any favoritism in the crowd?
No, I don't think so. You know, there's probably more attention, more eyes, more wow factor from Shelton just with the game he has, but I wouldn't say the crowd is sort of actively supporting him. I think there's nice support for both.
A wardrobe malfunction over there from Humbert.
Serve isn't malfunctioning, that's for sure.
No, I think that the serve is pretty much dialed in. He's only lost just 3 points on serve throughout this entire third set. Only 1 behind the first serve.
This is a masterclass in how to hold serve.
This is the position you want to be in hitting the volley. It's nice and high. Allows you to just line up the racket face and gets it to the open court before Humbert can get all the way back.
What a collection of shots in that particular game from Ben Shelton. That gives him a fair bit of momentum as he looks to try and get a break here in this third set.
Well, it's a really tough game to hold if you're in the position for Humbert, because for Shelton, in the back of your mind, you know, at the absolute worst case scenario, you're already afforded a tiebreaker, and that makes it more of a loose and free game. You know, if you get an opportunity on a mid-court ball and in the back of your mind, you know you have that security blanket. It's a lot easier to go for it. That's why you see so many sets oftentimes at the very end. Someone gets broken in that last crucial game, because it's not just what happens on your side, it's also the freedom that happens on the other side of the net. Really, since that second set tiebreaker, Shelton's been growing in confidence on serve throughout.
Time.
Well, the sun's radiating in, but as you can hear, the energy is also from the fans radiating up and out of the Rod Laver Arena. And a sense that the crowd would like to see a little bit more tennis between these two. Can Humbert grant them their wish?
That's not a great miss there. You know, just a second serve, routine second serve there. Didn't have a lot of pace or direction. That's a bit of a gift. Did catch the back of the line, but Shelton will still feel he's got to make that one.
If there was one big difference between them today, it's been kind of like the finishing shot from Humbert. Ben, for the most part, has been very clinical. There's just been a few careless ones from the Frenchman.
And Ben's done a really good job of making Humbert have to hit that one extra ball throughout. He passes well on the run. He's gotten a lot of these running passing shots down at the toes, so there's just that much more pressure on the midcourt ball.
30-15.
This right here is the area of the game where Shelton can make a massive improvement. It's a big game, and both of those returns on the deuced court are returns that just at his level, those have to be made. You have to make the guy endure a couple of those rally shots as he did in the previous point. Obviously a very high bar, but for his lofty goals and expectations, you don't see guys like Carlos or Yannickson or those top guys missing returns like that are on the racket in those crucial stages. Humbert coming in behind this backhand approach shot. Nice put away volley high above the net.
Game Humbert. 6 games on tiebreaker.
A little shake of the racket to the fans, trying to endear himself even more, get their love.
Yeah, I like his body language. You know, majority of people in here probably think Shelton's winning this match, and of course he's very, very likely from this stage, but it's Humbert that matters most, what he thinks. And he's still engaged, he's still believing. Big tiebreak here.
And then French in the corner. What I'm being told by some helpful translators is that's the exact message that they've been telling Humbert throughout this set.
Fast start.
1-0. Humbert.
Seized his opportunity.
I think that's the best forehand he's hit in the match. All things considered, you know, the magnitude of the point. And you could just hear the grunt. He really let the racket head go. No holding back.
You get the sense that he believes he can do this still, that he's still fully locked into the mission.
2-0. Humbert.
Well, throughout this whole set, he only won 3 points on return for all 6 games of Shelton's serve, and he plays a great point there to start this off, and confidence growing. Shelton actually guessed right here, couldn't direct it back in the court.
Attitude decides your attitude, and Humbert is soaring right now. Shelton needs these next 2 points.
It's a good response. As you said, just the 1 mini break, you feel like it's still within striking distance. You get down double mini break, and you start feeling like it's a really big hill to climb.
Yeah. 21st serve that he's hit like that out wide. 15 of them have not come back. Good, smart percentage tennis from Shelton.
A lot of pressure here on the first serve from Humbert. He's done really well behind the first serve, not as strong behind the second.
Gotta say, that was a magnificent rally from Shelton. He didn't hit his target on the serve, Humbert, but Ben did a great job of being so disciplined. And it's the one thing when you watch these players play, especially the best players, just how much self-control they have when they know they can rip the ball 50% harder than they do. They pick the right shot at the right time.
Yeah, shot selection was so key here, and Ben again using some variety on the backhand side. I thought that was a beautiful chip. Putting Humbert in some uncomfortable positions, trying to pull a trigger on maybe a shot that there wasn't quite an opening. And now, whereas it looked like he was in a strong position at 3-0, this is right back to level. Shelton looking relaxed and comfortable.
Too much spin on a couple of the forehands in this game. The first point, it was still an awesome forehand, don't get me wrong, from Humbert to break open the opening point, but he'll probably feel as though that return got him too quickly on the defense, too far behind the baseline.
He caught the line, but he deserved it. As you said, he was so brave. He was really powerful going for those forehands.
So much to admire in that rally, from the return, the anticipation from Humbert, but the relentlessness from Shelton.
Well, I love the way he closed forward, even after that approach shot wasn't the direction that he was looking for. He got himself in good position, and then what an angle here. he had a little stress relief there.
Shelton.
He's found a gold mine there.
Gave a little smile and a nod at the corner with his dad over here. I think that there might have been a little direction.
Come on.
Brian just said, get your butt over there. We can say behind over there, referring to covering the wide serve because of how often he's hit that slider.
He knew what he wanted to achieve, did Humbert. He just couldn't execute it.
Well, after all this has happened, so many ups and downs throughout set number 2, and then such great serving in set number 3, finds himself 2 match points.
In keeping with his character all the way through today. He fights to the end.
It's all open to you. Just be ready when he slaps that return. Come on. Let's go, champ.
Shelton sizzle seals the win
7-6, 7-6,
and sends himself through to the second round.
You can see the energy and the passion, how fired up he is to be back here at Melbourne Park. Loved the way he played that match point with confidence, not waiting around to see what happened. He took charge. Love the mutual respect between those guys at the net. They knew